Peace and blessings, brothers and sisters. Love and light. It's your brother, Omni Omnis, also known as Omni Omnis. And tonight, we're gonna have this build. We're talking about COVID-19 exposed, okay? COVID-19 exposed. We're just gonna be going over a few fun facts about COVID-19 and how genetics and DNA correlates to immunity. All right, that's what the build is about. How DNA and genetics correlates to immunity. All right. Now we have to understand that DNA are small units of hereditary that are passed down from parents to offspring. Okay. Characteristics and traits of every life form is a part of its DNA, a part of the genes, which is genetic coding. Okay. Now, to get into the study, which is based on the ABO blood group study, which was discovered in the 1940s by European geneticists by the name of Carl Landsteiner. Okay. Carl Landsteiner. And the study was dealing with the fact that modern scientists discovered there were cells, chromosomes, and tissues present within the DNA of some modern humans. Okay, now the determining factor for if an individual was Rh positive or Rh negative is based upon the presence of different types of cells in the body. Okay, so there are specialized groups of cells that are associated with certain types of structure and functionality. Okay. Now the RH is an acronym for rhesus, okay, and it's named after the rhesus macaque monkey, which is a species of primate indigenous to Eurasia, which is between the continental landmass of Europe and Asia. Okay. So if you have this RH gene, then you have genealogy associated with Neanderthals. Okay. Now, a Neanderthal is a subspecies of archaic humans that are said to have went extinct, but there are new recent genetic studies that suggest that there's an 85-15% ratio between Rh negative and Rh positive humans. Okay. Now, in the genetic study, we see that there is a difference in the level of immunity in this ABO blood group study and in the RH study. Now, your level of immunity is based upon the presence and absence of certain cells. Now, if you have the Rh factor, it compromises your immunity. We know that to be so because we see in the A blood group, it has an A antigen and a B antibody. Okay, so it has one immune self-defense mechanism. So it does have some immune defense, but not the greatest. Then you go to B, which is B antigen, A antibody. So it has one immune self-defense mechanism, but it only has one, but it could have more. O blood type has A antibody and B antibody. So it has two immune self-defense mechanisms. AB has 0 immune self-defense mechanisms, making it the least immune to foreign agents and foreign substances. Okay, so antibodies are like immunoglobulins. Immunoglobulins are what protect your body from, harmful things or poisonous things. So we understand that there are different levels of immunity, which is based upon your gene, your genetic group. So you have your O type, you have your A type, your B, and your AB. So the O blood type stands for oldest or original. Okay. Now, we have to understand what a RH is. A RH is just a term, a phrase that's used by modern scientists to describe a surface antigen occurring on the red blood cells of many humans and some other primates. So there's a correlation between this antigen in humans and which is connected to animals, to primates. Okay? So they call it the rhesus factor. Now, when it comes to COVID-19, which is a parasitic microorganism which invades the body by compromising the immune system, individuals who have two antibodies will have a higher level of immunity, making them least susceptible or less susceptible than the next person. If you have one antibody, you may have some immunity, but not the greatest. If you have zero, then you have the least immunity. So we have to understand that about COVID-19. It's a parasitic microorganism that invades your body. Okay? So, now, the origin of the RH, we have to understand that people, okay, I don't know what's wrong with the volume, or why I might be being, okay, am I good? Okay, all right. Peace, family. Thank you for stopping by and checking in with me for the build, man. We got to talk about it. All right? So, look, we have to understand, family, that the origins of the RH is through genetic modification, all right? And the reason why I say that is because we find that there are cells, chromosomes, and tissues present in some modern humans. You got to put the scope on the fact that humans and animals are separate species. Humans and animals are separate species, okay? So you have Rh negative, Rh positive. If you have the DNA marker present in your gene that is from the Neanderthal, then you are Rh positive. So we have to understand that in modern education, they have failed to educate the average person about this. So when we go to the doctor to be prescribed medications, when it comes to standardized health and nutrition, we can't generalize those things once we understand that we're different. We're biologically different, okay? So it's not to be racist against other ethnicities. We're just trying to understand the science of genetics and genes, okay? And the way that genes function, all right? So anyway, by Medical News Today, it says that the least common blood type in the U.S. is AB, with less than 1% of the population having this type. Okay, so in the U.S., the least common blood type is AB. All right. Now, by the American Red Cross, they stated in the U.S., 38% of the population have O negative blood, O positive blood, making it the most common blood type. So the O blood group in the U.S. is the most common blood type. All right? 38%. And that was said by the American Red Cross. So according to the American Red Cross, the following statistics show that the most common blood types in the U.S. is African Americans with 47%. All right? Latinos with 53%. Asians with 39%. And Caucasians with 37%. Okay? Now, inherited characteristics such as blood types tend to run into ethnic groups. Okay? So your ethnicity is based upon your genes, your genetics. So our genetics say a lot about who we are. They determine how our genes are expressed, our functionality, and all of that good stuff. All right? So the immune system is a part of the structure and functionality of your biology, your cells. So black people, we are made different. Okay? Now, there are also studies that have come out to say that only people of African descent are 100% human. All right? Only people of African descent are 100% human. Okay? This is not racism. This is science, family. RH is a crossbreed. You understand that a crossbreed is the byproduct of two different species merging that genetic information together to make a new species. All right? So everybody cannot be Rh positive. Understanding that the Rh positive is a crossbreed and a hybrid. And the hybrid is the byproduct of two pre-existing species. So when we talking about health standard, when we talking about what's good for humans in general, we can't do that. We got to emphasize on the difference of genetics. If you are 100% human, then you need protein that's for humans. If your DNA consists of animal genes, then you need food that is consistent with your DNA, which is animal protein. Okay, so it works a certain way. A lot of blacks are coming down with cancer and a lot of different illnesses due to us not knowing this, having this knowledge of our genes and our melanin. So we understand as well that the germ is the root of disease. We understand that germs and bacteria is the root of all disease. Okay. Now, according to germ theory, the germ theory is a scientific theory, all right? It states that microorganisms known as pathogens, right, or germs can lead to disease. Now, these small organisms, too small to see without magnification, invade the human body and other animals of living hosts and compromise the immune system. So again, back to DNA and genetics. When you're of the O blood group, which has two antibodies, two self-defense mechanisms, right? Which gives them greater immunity than other types, because all other blood groups have either 1 or 0 antibodies. You have O, which has 2, A and B has 1, and B has 0. All right. So if your body was to encounter a pathogen or a microorganism, how can you defend yourself without antibodies, without immune defense? So people of the O blood group have naturally occurring immunity, but your immunity can be compromised by biochemical induction. Okay, so we have natural immunity, but your immunity can be compromised artificially through man-made means, engaging in inorganic medicines or inorganic chemistry in general, when melanin is an organic biochemical compound. So if you're a black person, you have to be organic. You have to understand what it is to be organic. And a hybrid, we understand, is a crossbreed, is a genetically modified organism. This is why they have GMO in the biosafety program that was put together by the government. Okay, the Cartagena Protocol. These things were put together to supply food and nutrition for a specific demographic. Not everyone. Okay, the Rh positive, those who are politically in control and have dominance at the time. So they're calling a lot of the shots. You feel me? So that's when it comes to science, law, regulation, all of that. So when you look at your foods, when you look at your medicine, inorganics, animal protein for all humans. When you look at hair products that have keratin in it, keratin is a sulfuric compound that's commonly found in animal kingdom. Okay, and it's what produces fur, horns, and feathers, and all different type of stuff like that in the animal kingdom. And it's commonly found in hair products and lotions and different stuff like that. So, like I said, all humans are not Rh positive. So you shouldn't have to go to the store and be limited to just animal proteins or things that's just for a certain demographic of people. Okay. So by us understanding what's going on around us in the world politically, and just getting more into the science, and trying to be as aware as possible, we can do something about these things. But we first got to know what's going on. You feel me? So we understand that germs is what leads to disease. All right? And those germs are microorganisms known as pathogens. The coronavirus is a pathogen. All right? That's what it is. And when you look into the blood study, you see that the A blood group has a pathogen. It's known as an antigen, okay? The B blood group has a pathogen. It's the same thing as the coronavirus. It has spike proteins, right? And these spike proteins are like tentacles of an octopus, and they latch on to the cell. They take over the cell, and they cause that cell to reproduce malicious byproducts, which are cancerous tissues and mutant cells, okay? So cellular replication is something that's going to happen regardless, but when you giving your cells things that are incompatible to your biology, then there are negative effects, okay? So instead of just talking about COVID-19, we should talk about immunity and the way that the body functions, all right? Because we don't want to spread fear and and ignorance to the people. We want to spread knowledge and awareness, and that's what I'm all about. I'm the Vision EDU. We just want to build with you, brothers and sisters. Thank you for tuning in, for coming in the building, rocking with me. Like I said, we're going to be doing this every Sunday and every Wednesday, all right, around 9 o'clock Eastern, all right? So y'all brace yourselves for scientific and historical literacy, all right? We got much more to build about. I thank you for your time and your energy. And I'll be answering questions too. I'm going to be going back on the live one by one, answering everybody's questions. Like I said, I appreciate y'all for just coming in, tuning in with me, and vibing with me, family. Peace and blessings. So, yeah, COVID-19 exposed, family. We have immunity, which is naturally inherent. You have immune deficiency, which can also be naturally inherent, depending on your genes, depending on your DNA. And then you have immune suppression. A lot of black people are dying in the hospital, not only from COVID-19. A lot of the times it's being diagnosed or misdiagnosed as COVID-19, but it could simply be immune suppression. When you're making medications that are inorganic and you're not even considering the fact that melanin is an organic biochemical compound, why would you try to give a person who their biology is not made upon acid or inorganics? If I'm organic, you have to give me organic. You know what I'm saying? If I'm inorganic, or I have the RX factor, or I'm a genetically modified organism in general, then my DNA will be compatible with genetically modified things. Okay? So it's really that simple, family. So you have the O group, which stands for oldest or original, and then you have the A, which is a mutation. You have B, which is a mutation, and then you have A and B, which is two mutations. They call those alleles, okay, or heterozygous, homozygous and heterozygous. But yeah, you have two alleles present at a certain point on the chromosome. So an A is an allele, a B is an allele, and an AB is an allele. And that's one of two or more alternative forms of a gene that arise by mutation and are found at the same place on the chromosome, okay? So people who are certain blood types that have mutations in their DNA are technically mutant organisms, okay? So if you have mutations, then you are a mutant organism. And that's not trying to insult anyone, but it's just going off the facts, all right? So with those mutations comes certain structure and function, all right? Not being able to digest sunlight, right, is unnatural for one thing, and it's a dysfunction, and it's a misstructure, it's a dysstructure, all right? Photosynthetic life is very common in nature, all right? The sun is naturally occurring light, which regulates our carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, and nitrogen cycles. It gives the plants life energy through electromagnetic radiation. And from that stimulus, those plants release CO2 for us to breathe, right? So it's a harmonious relationship between us and nature. When you're melanated, you are compatible to sunlight, to naturally occurring light. When you don't have melanin, you can develop what you call melanoma, okay? And you can hear the word melis or melanin in the word melanoma. And oma is a word for cancer or tumor. Cancer or tumor. So it means melanin, cancer, or tumor. People with low levels of melanin develop melanoma, okay? And melanoma is one of the top causes of cancer, right? Worldwide. I think it's the #1 leading cause of cancer worldwide, melanoma. So a lot of people who come down with cancer are coming down with a specific type of cancer. And that's due to their inability to process sunlight, right? Now we know the plants they process sunlight, and they regulate, chemicals and, the greenhouse gases and all of that. You feel me? So it's normal to process sunlight because sunlight is a energy source for natural things. All right. When you lack the antibodies, when you lack those immune self-defense mechanisms, when your biochemistry is compromised from your genetics being modified, then you are inherent to being incompatible to the sun's thermochemical energy conversion, where sunlight is being converted into biomass and biomass is being converted into sunlight. So it's a harmonious relationship. And this is how things work in nature, all right? When you come into the sunlight and there's a negative effect, then that's for a reason, all right? So the COVID-19 has a lot to do with immune suppression, all right? Some people are going to the hospital and they're coming down with immune suppression from inorganic chemistry or modern medicine using that approach of inorganics to address healing the body. And when they do that, they compromise the individual's biochemistry. They violate the individual, okay? And that's the same thing that happens to an individual who has inorganic chemistry or is RH positive. When they go out in the sunlight, their immune system is compromised. An immune response is a biochemical reaction of the cells in the body to a foreign object or substance. And we know that the sun is naturally occurring light. So if your body responds negatively to it, then it's processing naturally occurring light as foreign. All right? So we have to understand what an immune response is. When we eat certain foods and we have inflammation and people develop certain illnesses or whatnot. That's all from an immune response of your cells in your body processing things that are introduced to your body as foreign. All right? When there is no immune response, there's chemical compatibility. All right? So it's really that simple. It's really that simple, family. Let's see what else we got for you. We've been on for a little while. I just wanted to touch and build with the family on the intellectual tip and just talk about some things that's going on in the world and about this COVID, because they really they running with that COVID, man. They talking about that every day. And before we get all panicky, you know what I'm saying, and get your panties in a bunch, you know what I'm saying, what you need to do is get learned and get educated on some things before you make a decision. Don't let somebody just lead you in a certain direction without inquiring first about it. You know what I'm saying? So we most definitely want to be knowledgeable and be conscious of our decision making. And that's how we moving, family. So I guess we'll be building on this again next week. I think this week went okay. Like I said, I'll be sure to go down in the thread and get to the comments for everybody that commented, because I want to make sure that you guys enjoyed the build and that you guys got something from it. I put a lot of time and energy into my research, family. So, I hope the best out of for our builds, and hopefully a lot come out of that, man. And y'all do some with it. Yeah. So We talked about the bill, man, about the coronavirus, about how genes correlate to immunity, and how when you have low immunity, you are more susceptible to the coronavirus, all right, and bacteria in general. So if you are one of those individuals that are universal donors who can donate to everybody, and your blood does not contain antigens or allelic genes or any mutations, then you are upright with nature. And that's why you can go out in the light and be harmonious. You feel me? Because of that. So that's like acceptance of nature, like approval of nature. So that's a good thing. That's a blessing. So we're going to do another build, like I said, next Sunday. Well, we're going to do a build Wednesday, and then we're going to do another build next Sunday. But I want y'all to tune in with me every week, and we're going to build about some type of scientific and historical literacy. All right? So appreciate y'all for the love and the light. Shout out to my queen and everybody that's rocking with me and supporting the Omni Vision EDU movement. All right? Love and light. Blessings. I see.